Welcome on into Command Center. Julie Donaldson with Fred Smoot and Logan Paulson, and the players are back in the building for the beginning of off-season workouts, Fred.
I can't wait. The coaches are back. The players are back. We are back. It's the start of a new season. Cannot wait.
And we are sitting down with Sam Howell to see how he's approaching the off-season and the draft. It is coming up, Logan, to help the coaching staff and scouts pick the next players to join the roster. There's like a tier system.
Yeah, it's complicated, so get your pen and paper out, put your thinking caps on. It's going to be a doozy.
It all starts right now. We start by taking a look at what the guys have been up to on their time off, and a big congratulations to Joey Slies. He got married to Brittany.
Congrats!
How about that? She'd make him shave his beard. That's how you know she's the one.
That's
man.
love.
Yeah.
You gotta love them for how they are. Such beautiful pictures. And Dax Milne doing a nice little glow up. Oh, so cute, little peewee.
He kind of looks the same.
Yeah, I've been saying, they don't look like a professional player right there.
And, well, happy birthday to our punter, Trustway. He turned 33 on Tuesday. Big congrats to him. And Fred, you as well had a birthday this week on
My
Monday.
Aries brother, and I knew it was a reason I love Tressway.
But, of course, that time's over because the players are all back in the building.
Good morning, good morning. We are back, baby. It's been a minute, man. You gotta miss it. How y'all doing?
Get started again. Let's go. Let's freaking go.
Let's do it. Man, we back at it.
Right back, no cheat.
How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you guys. Back in the office like we never left. It's a new year, new goals, new accomplishment. Time to put some work in. We back at it though. Back in the building. Back with the guys. It's like Disney World. There's no better place on earth. We are back.
Time now for our mission debrief brought to you by the Washington Times. And we start off with a congratulations for Jeremy Reeves. Signed his tender, Logan.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic news. Huge value add for the team in terms of his special teams ability, his leadership qualities. Always need guys like that on the roster.
Why so serious?
No.
Put the money in the bag. Ain't nothing wrong with it. This kid, he deserves it. He earned it. And he shows if you do everything the right way, you will get rewarded.
I mean, look, he went to the Pro Bowl. He's an All-Pro, and he is sticking around Washington for the next year. Now, guys are back in the building right now. It's the beginning of off-season workouts. Fred, what is it? What are they doing? What is this?
Oh, this is when you come in. You start to move in your way to get in shape. You got a new offensive coordinator, so now you're finna learn his terminology. You're finna learn his theories and what he likes to do on offense. And it's when we become a team, because a team is a football family. You can't do that without spending time together.
I was like how you said move to get in shape, Fred. I always came in shape because I was so worried about looking bad during the conditioning drills. But, you know, and then like they're also setting the table, right? They're setting the table for what they want to do. They're probably not installing quite yet. You know, EB doesn't have the offense finalized, but they're just getting used to each other. Like you said, getting that familial kind of environment going, I think it's always important.
It's fun to see them on the field. We're seeing Terry McLaurin making some catches, the guys interacting with each other and kind of just getting that brotherhood back together. It will be ramping up as the weeks do go by. It's a 9-week period in total, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so this is just the beginning. Now, as players do start to come back into the building, who are you most looking forward to seeing, Logan?
For me, it's Chase Young. You know, there was kind of some speculation about whether he'd be here or not. You know, there's some stuff about whether to pick up the 5th-year option. He's here. He's in the building. He's around his teammates. I think that's fantastic news. Good opportunity to show that he's healthy and continue his rehab process. So really happy he's
Well,
here.
I'm going to stay on the defensive side, but it's going to be Percy Butler. I think he's going to have to play a big role for this team, taking Brian McCain's spot. He's going to have to play close to the line, middle of the field, do a little bit of everything. So I'm not looking to see is he in shape, because I believe he's going to be in shape. It's all about the mental when it comes to him. How much can he take in? How much can he process? And can he put it on the field?
And this is a time, too, where, look, Eric Bieniemy coming in, he said he's had to get to know the coaching staff first. And now he has the opportunity to go around and kind of really get to know the guys that he's going to be charged with leading into the win column in the upcoming year. And, of course, you know, everybody is really excited to watch the quarterbacks and how it's going to play out. And head coach Ron Rivera has been very clear. By all accounts, this is Sam Howell who has the opportunity to be QB1. So right now he's the guy, and I had the opportunity to catch up with him. We haven't seen you in a while. Off-season treating you well so far?
Yeah, it's been good. You know, it's obviously good to get some time off, but, you know, I'm definitely glad to be back and,
get to work with the new staff and get to work back with the guys. So it's good to be back.
What is it like kind of having this break from the season to getting back in the building and seeing your teammates for the first time in a while?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's kind of like Christmas morning, coming in the building and seeing all the guys again, obviously because we had so much time off. And obviously I think that time off is good, but like I said, I'm glad that most guys are back and everyone's back working, and just to see everybody and being around everybody, it's a lot of fun.
And you mentioned the new staff. There are some new coaches that you have to get used to. Let me start with Eric Bieniemy. I know you've had the chance to kind of have a few conversations with him, but what do you know to expect of him leading this offense?
Yeah, I mean, I expect a lot from him. I know for sure he's gonna bring the energy, and he's gonna hold us to a high standard, and he's gonna hold people accountable. And for me as a player, that's what I want in my coach. And the thing I've already learned so far is he works really, really hard. He has really high standards, and that's the type of guy I want to play for. So I'm super excited and so glad that we got him here.
Every time I ask him, like, what is his style? What kind of system is he going to put in place? He wants to do whatever the players do best and kind of build around that. You know these guys.
Yep.
What would you say you all do best to kind of like really help this team get to that next level?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is we have all the weapons we need. We have great skill players. We've made some good additions to the offensive line, and so we got the guys to do it. And so I think it's just a matter of us doing a good job of getting the ball into our skill guys' hands. And we have probably the best receiving core in the National Football League, in my opinion. So it's just my job to try to do the best I can and get the ball to those guys.
The last season or the last game of the season, you got to have that chance to get out there with the ones, with Terry and, with Antonio Gibson and B-Rob and the ability that they have to be able to play. How does it change for you, knowing that coach is saying he's going to give you all the opportunity to be that guy next year? Yeah,
obviously it's a lot different than when I came in last year. But like you said, I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm just grateful that, coach is giving me this opportunity. I just want to, come in here and work every single day and try to do everything I can to help this team win football games. This organization is going to get everything I got, and I'm just going to give this opportunity everything I have.
How is this offseason different from what you're used to now that you've got your first year out of the way?
Yeah, obviously, last year was my first year in the league, and then this was my first real offseason. So I kind of didn't really know what to expect with all the time off, but, it was good. Obviously I had that 1 year under my belt, and it was kind of a wild year, a lot of ups and downs, and I learned so much from Taylor, from Carson. So it's I just feel a lot better coming in this year knowing I learned a lot last year. And I know a lot of stuff now that I didn't know then. So I'm excited going into year 2.
Reminder to all fans, we want to include you on our draft day celebrations by inviting you out to next week's official draft party presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. The party will take place from 11 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, April 29th at the National Harbor. Washington has 5 picks slated for the final 4 rounds, and fans will have the opportunity to meet the first-round pick, as well as current and former Washington legends. To RSVP for complimentary tickets, visit commanders.com/draft party for more on this year's draft. It is time now for another edition of Paulsons Prospects presented by FedEx, where Now meets next.
Fred, we got special guest Fred Smoot here on Paulsons Prospects. Excited to have you, Fred. You know why?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about bacon.
Bacon. I
Your
love
favorite
bacon.
thing, right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about one of my favorite flavors of bacon, and that's Steve Avila from TCU, right?
Nice.
Yeah,
I like
he's a big old boy. He's 6'4". He's 334 pounds, Fred. That's a big pair of pants now.
No. Not only is he big, he can move.
That's
like they usually don't be able to get out on the outskirts and make plays with guys like me. This guy proved it in the run game, and he proved it in the pass game.
Yeah, he's got excellent footwork. He's got these kind of lightning fast DB feet that never die. He's never bending over himself, bending the knees, and I've seen him move people off the ball in a dramatic way. The other thing he brings is Ron Rivera. Everybody talks about position flex. He plays center too, Fred. So if you need a guy to play center, play guard, he's an excellent fit for the Washington Commanders.
And they tell you about his awareness. Playing center is one of the hardest O-line positions. They want to say tackle, but to hike a ball simultaneously while being rushed by a defensive tackle, it takes a lot.
And I'm glad you brought that up, his awareness, his mental state, because at the Senior Bowl, he's asking the best questions of the bunch, right? He's really dialed in, smart guy, physical. He's my number one guard.
Checks all the boxes.
Checks all the boxes. All right. Makes you feel good about it. The next guy is, I think everyone kind of nationally, the favorite guard of the class, Osiris Torrance.
The bell of the ball.
Bell of the ball.
It happens all the time. I like him, but it's some inconsistencies in his play. I told you I like bacon. I don't know. He might be a vegan.
He might be a vegan.
He might be a vegan.
Why is that, Fred?
Because the one thing about it is, One day he shows up, nobody can beat him pass rushing.
Yeah.
Next day he shows up, he can't block anybody.
Yeah.
So that inconsistency right there, I don't know if you're pure bacon.
I think he's a guy that, to me, he hits a lot of singles, right?
Yeah, all right.
He's going to get in the way, get on guys, lock dudes up, but he's not going to have that dynamic explosiveness that a guy like Steve Avila has,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if Washington picked him, I'd be happy. I think he's a good football player, but I don't think he's got the power, the twitch.
And not at 16.
Yes, 16 is way too high.
right.
I totally agree. But if he were to slide a little bit, maybe he's the right fit for you.
Mhm.
So,
yep, you know it.
and then the other guy, you've been talking about. You've been talking about this guy since February, damn near. Like, he is this is the Minnesota center, Schmitz from, he is kind of everybody's all-world center at the moment.
He's your Big Ten, scruffy, get in there, do the dirty work. And I like players with 3 names. John, Michael, Smith. Listen to me.
Yeah.
This guy right here can lead your offense for the next 12, 13, 14 years. I think he's a centerpiece.
Yeah, and so you see him at the Senior Bowl, just being physically dominant, being able to reach a shade, right? That's something that centers have a really hard time. To the snap hand, get the head
out
across.
to the outside.
Yeah, love that. He was competitive in pass protection. Not the best athlete, not like a Creed Humphrey out of Kansas City.
Don't need you to be. Yeah.
So, is his value too high because he's not a superior athlete? I think it's perfect value because he is a really smart football player. He's physical. He's tough. He loves the game. He is, you said Osiris Torrance might be a vegan.
Yeah.
This guy's baking all the way, baby.
No, he's baking all the way.
Yeah.
And guess what? You don't need but one team to love you. I have fell in love with him. And if you fall in love with him, marry them.
You marry them, that's right. And if you don't love this one, you got Pittman, you got Whippler from Ohio State, all those big, scruffy
Strong
centers.
dudes,
Yes, but he's the guy I think is probably the best of the bunch.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, thank you, Logan. Now, if you have any questions for Logan about the upcoming draft, make sure you drop them in the comments section, and we'll ask Logan in next week's episode. Now, coming up tomorrow is another episode of Commander's Log, and it's all about the Senior Bowl and the Combine leading into the draft. Here's a preview.
We have a kind of culture that we're looking to mold, and kids that fit right in those pieces perfectly. So when you have guys like that we have, like Jonathan Allen and Terry McLaurin and some of the guys on both sides of the ball, I think that, the leadership that we have right now on the team gives us a lot of room, a lot of range of motion to get different players and personalities in our building.
What is going to be something where you finish the season and you're like, all right, we have a path to the future where things are really good. The Commanders have a lot of playmakers, really pretty good talent.
Terry McLaurin is a top flight wide receiver, Brian Robinson. At running back, Antonio Gibson.
I think the 2 things that need to change are, number 1 is consistency. It feels like that starts with quarterback play.
Sam Howell flashed in the preseason last year. He looked pretty good at the end of last year, but we have to see it over an extended period of time. We don't know what he can do yet.
Snap to Howell, here comes his first pass. Steps back over the middle. Finds Terry McLaurin to the 10. Touchdown!
This NFL stuff is easy.
If you told me right now, Sam Howell is the starting quarterback for the Commanders for the next 5 years or whatever it is, I would say that's certainly best case scenario, because what that means is you got one and stop looking. Getting a starting quarterback in the rookie window is literally the best way to build a consistent winner in the NFL.
And I will tell you that I talked to one scout that I really trust. He just turned to me and says, I got to tell you this. Sam Howell gets on the field, he ain't coming off.
During last year's draft, the Commanders traded their first-round pick with New Orleans, swapping first-round selections while adding an additional third and fourth-round pick. The move, it paid off, using the 16th pick to select Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. But what led the team to making the trade? Well, we let Ron Rivera help explain.
We had a plan going into the draft. We had a position that we targeted, and we had several other options. One of the things we target, we say, we're willing to target a specific player. If that player's gone, this is what we can do. We can do this, or this, or we can go backwards. And if we go backwards, how far can we go? And we were able to target a team we felt that was going to want to jump up, and it worked out that way. Martin did a terrific job with all that, looking into it and talking about it, setting up the trade. And the clump of players that we had, Marty, Eric, and Gribbs got up there, and we had a 5-man clump and just said, hey, these 5 guys we like. We had 3 receivers and 2 offensive linemen that were in that clump, and said, okay, if this guy there, that's our guy. And Jahan was sitting there looking at us, and I know we surprised a lot of you guys, but we did a lot of work, and we really liked who he is, and that's why we did what we did.
Well, time to go inside the numbers presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. When it comes to selecting players throughout the draft, they use a tier system, but if I take a look at this, it's a little bit confusing. Logan, help me understand.
Yeah, a lot of names on here. This is kind of how I would look in the front office, but I think we can simplify this a little bit, right, Fred? Let's go check it out.
Get it done.
All right, Fred, we took that crazy board and we made it really simple here. We basically said offensive linemen and quarterbacks, both positions of need for Washington, to kind of explain what this tier system's all about.
Yep.
So let's talk about this first tier, right? I've got 3 guys in the first tier. I got Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson, and Devin Witherspoon. And
when you say first tier,
yeah,
tell them why they are separated from the second and the third group.
To me, these are the best guys in the class. These are guys that are kind of the opportunity to be blue chip guys, right? They're not necessarily blue chip guys, but they got the highest upside. Paris Johnson, I think, is a really good example of this. He's 6'7", 315 pounds, 36-inch arms, big athlete, right? But there's some questions about his game, but could be that kind of very special player. So that's the first tier player, right?
Yep.
And so to me, if I've diagnosed this, and Peter Skoronski gets drafted, and then Devin Witherspoon gets drafted, and for whatever reason, Paris Johnson falls down to Washington at 16, I sprint to pick him,
yes,
right?
Yes, most definitely.
I think he is a game-changing player at the position.
And he solidifies your line at a premium position. And I think that's what people don't talk about. Just because you're a top-tier athlete, is it premium for my positional and for my pick at 16?
Yes, he's a guy that plays guard, he can play tackle, all that position flex, and the physical upside, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of if a tier 1 guy were to slip. But let's say all the tier 1 guys are gone. Get out of here, Peter. Paris,
out of there.
And now we're fully in tier 2 at 16.
All right, we are.
We have 7 guys here in tier 2. And they're all good football players, right? So now, knowing that there's 7 football players and I'm at 16, I know I can trade back 7 spots.
At least 7 spots, because it's 7 guys here and they can only get drafted one at a time.
And even though there are different players, different positions, tackles, corners, Brian Branch is a safety, right? I value them all the same in my draft. Because it's not, 1 through 200 in terms of draft selection. It's how I tier the players so I can compare a tackle to a corner. And so if I'm at 16, all these guys are available, I know I can trade back 7 spots and still get a guy. And that's a huge advantage for me, Fred. Why?
Well, this is what makes it so good. I can trade down and still not get one of the 7 and still get one of these.
Stop that.
No. Because at the end of the day, the separation between tier 2 and tier 3 is not as much as most people are painting it as.
Yeah, so for me, what I would say is these are for sure first-round players, and these are players that are maybe first-round players. And for me, Emmanuel Forbes is right there at the edge, right?
Levis to throw, and he's picked off! Going the other way is Forbes!
So like what you're saying, right? I can trade back and get one of these guys. I can pick up an extra draft pick later in the draft, right? Or if I really like these guys, or these guys fall into my tier 2, for example, then I could trade back 9 spots and still get a player that I want. So understanding the tiers and how they bunch players, you saw that with Jahan last year.
I did.
They traded from 11 back to 16, got the receiver that they wanted. Ron Rivera said there was a cluster of 5 guys. I think those are the 5 guys that are in that tier with Jahan. They get Jahan, and they get a great running back, and they get Sam Howell.
The Saints moved up from 16 5 spots, coughed up a 3 and a 4 in this year's draft to Washington.
With the 16th pick, the Washington Commanders select Jahan Dotson.
With the 98th pick, Brian Robinson Jr., running back.
With the 144th pick, Sam Howell.
Well, I think Coach does it again. I think Coach goes to the stage and put that truck in reverse. And put that truck in reverse because it worked last year. And he going to do it again. He going to put that money right there. And he going to put that money right there. Because at the end of the day, Thanos. They call him that for a reason. If you earn a nickname in college, you earn that nickname. He dominates that tackle. I don't see much difference. Right here, I don't see much difference. More value, more picks. If I trade out of the first round, I might can grab both of these guys.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, using this tier system to assess your value and making your draft strategy, that's what this tier system's all about, making easy decisions for you. Got to talk a little bit about the tier system with Coach Ron Rivera. Check out a piece of that interview right now. Yeah, and so people always talk about, how free agency affects the draft. Does the draft ever affect free agency? Do you ever look ahead and say, like, oh, this is a really strong O-line class or whatever, and how did that impact this year?
It does. You look at it and you say, wow, there is going to be some good O-line depth in the draft, but there's also a couple of really good veteran offensive linemen we really like, so we were able to jump on that, and we feel very comfortable with what we did with free agency, because as far as the draft's concerned, it gives us an opportunity to say, okay, these are specific needs coming into the draft. We did fill this, and this. So as we look at it, now people say, well, is it position of need or is it best available?
Right.
Well, how about best available at positions of need?
Positions of need.
For the full interview between Coach Rivera and Logan, tune in to our pre-draft special presented by SeatGeek this Saturday at 7 p.m. on NBC4. Now, we will break down the potential options Washington has in the first round of this year's draft and hear from some of our alumni discussing their draft day memories. You do not want to miss it. Saturday, 7 p.m. on NBC4. Are you guys playing these games again?
Yeah.
We're trying to tape a show and you are playing games. Fred is doing the memory match. It's probably good for you to play this game, actually. That is the FanDuel memory match game, and you can only play it through Thursday night at midnight. So make sure that you sign up right now, and you could enter the sweepstakes. And if you do, here you go, Fred. You could get 2 VIP passes to the draft party at the National Harbor.
Bring them.
1 autographed item from our first round draft pick.
What are we waiting for?
And 2 tickets and pregame field passes to our home opener.
Count me in.
Okay, so you need to make sure you get that memory match going down right. And here, Logan, you're trying to predict the schedule.
Yeah, I think, week 11, Philadelphia Eagles. Why not? Let's put that in there.
If you do it perfectly, do you know what you could win?
No,
Logan?
what can I win?
$20,000.
Get out of here, Julie. I want 20 grand.
That's why you're playing. That's why you're
20
playing.
grand sounds like nice.
The
I
game
love
is
the
open
bag.
through April 30th. Make sure you go to our app, Commander's app, and you could play the games as well. Just not during the show.
I understand.
We're almost done.
But I got to send me by. Check that out. Oh, yes!
Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy was at a ticketing event last week at FedEx Field for an exclusive night out with the new OC. EB sat down with me to discuss his career and what he plans to bring to Washington's offense in a room full of faithful fans that are now season ticket members of the Burgundy and Gold. And during the night with EB, well, I caught up with the assistant head coach to get the answers from some of you, the fan, your questions. Coach, these are coming straight from the fans that are going to be cheering you on Sundays, Monday nights, Thursday night football, whenever the team is on the field. They want to know what you're going to bring here. And it's been 10 years since you've been with a new team. So they want to know so far, basically, right off the bat, what is it like and how will your offense unfold working with a new team and a new quarterback?
You know what? It's been great. And I haven't had an opportunity yet to meet with the players, which they'll come in next week. But it's been great. The majority of my time now is just basically putting in the offense, spending time with our offensive coaching staff, developing that chemistry, which is very, very important because we got to make sure that we're on the same page before we can present who we are as a staff to the players. But I'm excited. I'm fired up. It's been great working with Coach Ron. You know, I'm enjoying it, and I'm just enjoying the excitement that's surrounded around the building.
I mean, you have to get to know the coaches first before you really can put anything to place with the players. This is the time to do that. So another question here comes from King Slim 202. Okay. Curious on your philosophy towards player development, and specifically when it kind of comes to young players, like we have a Jahan Dotson and De'Ami Brown.
Yes. One thing, my philosophy is to give those guys as much as you can. You know, put them out there in situations where you know they may not have the success that you're expecting, but when it's all said and done, with all experience is great experience. Because if they go out there and they make a mistake, so be it, okay? No problem. We'll teach and coach them from that mistake that they made. But on top of that, they need to get out there and play. They need to experience all the little things and what it takes to become the ultimate professional football player.
So Jahan and De'Ami, wide receivers, but of course we can't ignore the fact that you yourself played the position of running back, and folks are quite curious and excited as John wants to know, how much are you going to lean into the running game?
Well, here's my job is to make sure we're doing whatever we can to win. So if we got to throw it 100 times, we'll throw it 100 times. If we have to run it 100 times, we'll run it 100 times. At the end of the day, my job as the offensive coordinator and our offensive coaches is to make sure we're putting our guys in the best situations to do whatever is best for us to win.
When it does come to the upcoming season, Kyle wants to know, what are you most excited about there?
You know what? I'm just excited about the opportunity of starting over and establishing this foundation and doing something new. You know, it's going to be a new challenge, but the challenge remains the same. Everybody wants to win the Super Bowl. That's going to always be our number one objective. But the thing I'm excited about is just getting in that room and getting in the mix and getting to know the people that we're going to be working with. And that's the fun part. That's the fun part because now you get to work with these personalities. You allow these personalities to shine and let them go out and be the best person that they can be to help us to be the best team that we can be.
A lot to learn with a new team, including the fan base. How did they do in asking you questions?
You know what? They did a hell of a job. Congrats.
There you go. Those are questions from the fans with Evie.
I kind of like the fans taking over the questions for one thing. But Fred, if you were to hear your new assistant head coach, offensive coordinator making those comments, how would you feel?
I feel good. I feel good because he said one thing that really stuck out to me. If we need to run it 100 times to be the team, we will do it. If we need to throw it 100 times to be the team, we will do it. So that means our offense don't have a true identity. It's whatever we need to be that day to defeat you.
Yeah, and for me, maybe not as a player, this wouldn't excite me, but as a coach, a guy that talks to young athletes, like the idea that he's going to let guys fail, teach off the failure, and it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's going to be a learning experience. I think it's going to be extremely beneficial for some of these young football players.
I mean, the biggest thing he says his number one priority is to make sure that this team wins. Thanks for everybody that did ask a question. We'll continue to do this as the show goes on. Now, I know you both are athletes, right?
Yeah.
You think you're athletes, but do you have rhythm?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, you have a little
I'm
rhythm?
a dancer. You got dancers and non-dancers.
Then you
it's
could
true,
join.
though. I'm characterized effectively.
You could join our Command Force. Those auditions are coming up. If you think you have what it takes to join the Command Force and have the skills to become a member, now is your chance. You can register to audition this weekend at FedEx Field. Just go to commanders.com/commandforce for more information. The deadline to register is this Friday, so make sure you get on it. And who would not want to join the league's most diverse entertainment group to perform all of the home games and events around the DMV? For all the info, head to commanders.com/commandforce. And not sure if you all saw this, but NBA All-Star Paul George was asked on his podcast how he feels about NFL and NBA players trying to play each other's sport. Well, George thinks it would be easier for NBA guys to transition, and that kind of got the internet pretty tempered. Jeremy Reeves took to Twitter to remind George that football was the reason a lot of people decided to try basketball instead. In fact, plenty of our players feel they could go pro in basketball.
I was supposed to go first round in basketball. He can't dunk. You saw that. The real hoopers know what
you was 6'6", barely dunking.
The real hoopers know what that look like.
Everybody on the team know I'm on Damian Lillard and Melo Ball mixed together.
So I assume those guys are talking about the 5'10" and under basketball league. Is that what they were talking about? Oh, baseball. I'm sorry.
Which teammate is most likely to go pro in another sport? Watch out. I'm going to keep it all the way real. I'm from Brooklyn. I play basketball on me.
Okay, what do we think? Is it actually easier, gentlemen, for football to play basketball or basketball to play football? What is this, Fred? This is what I get.
Yeah,
This is what you get.
I don't get anything. I don't know what you guys are
This
talking
is the
about.
limit of my skill right here. This is what they trust you with. Oh,
At the end of it, I think football players, fast, strong, can adjust to the game of the NBA. I don't think the NBA players can adjust to the physicality of the NFL. That's all I'm saying. I know what numbers you're finna bring, and I know what you're finna say.
So, Fred, I'm saying at certain positions in the NFL, tight end, edge rusher, they value athletic traits, vertical jump, 40-yard dash. There are guys in the NBA right now that would hit all of those physical measurements and probably break those. So I think just from an athletic standpoint, I like athletes on my team, and I'm not sure football players are good enough athletes to go play in the NBA.
You know what? This is where I get you wrong at. Yeah. Like Coach Gibbs to say, it's all about mentality.
Yeah.
They don't have the mentality to play this sport. Yes, they can run like a deer, but I ain't afraid of a deer. All I'm saying is this. I think it has everything to do with the physicality and not the athletes. I think both are premium athletes.
How much could factor in the paycheck?
The paycheck? I mean, like the idea that I make more money in the NBA, I think that's probably a good thing. I think the better athletes maybe are playing in the NBA, Fred. Like, think about it, man. Think about those athletes. It's just a different kind of person.
It's not a person ever
Bad athletic basketball players end up playing football. I hate to break it to you.
Deion Sanders, one of the best athletes of all time.
You can't cite the best athlete of all time, Fred. That's not how that works.
No. All I'm saying is the top 10 NBA players,
erroneous argument.
None of them can play in the NFL. Not Michael Jordan, not Larry Bird, not any of them.
Michael Jordan couldn't play in the NFL.
He couldn't play baseball.
He could play receiver in the NFL.
No, he cannot.
He's 6'6", man. Come on,
He
Fred.
could probably jump ball a couple people, but that's it. I'm sorry. Debate is over.
Oh, come on.
Actually, I think the debate going to continue after that conversation. There is one thing that I can sit here. I got with this. I can.
Not on me. Not on me.
I just said on you. See,
did you make that?
I got some skills. Thanks for joining us on Command. Yes, I did. Thanks for joining us on Command Center. We'll see you next time, everybody.